There are several programs that have been tried over the years to reduce the spread of HIV. One or two of them have had great success, at least initially. Others have tried the same approach and have not been as successful. Country to country, district to district. For example, Uganda in Africa has had a program, at least in part, advocating abstinence. And again, they've reduced some of the prevalence of HIV in the certain segments of the population. Hopefully that will be helpful, and certainly it seems like it's helpful for the long run, perhaps, but at least for right now, if people can avoid having acquired HIV in their relatively early years, then maybe when they could settle down into a mutually monogamous relationship, in other words, they're ready for a marriage, not quite at 16, but say they're ready for a marriage, let's say at 20 or 22, if they can somehow be spared HIV during that interim, that might be the best we could hope for. Again, then, of course, mutual monogamy, if they're both are uninfected, would be the way of maintaining their negativity. Another way of preventing HIV sexually that was tried was in Thailand. Some of the commercial sex workers in Thailand were known to be positive, and there was great fear that because of their clientele, being men who often were married, that it would spread to the women at home, as well as from one prostitute to their partner or customer, then from that customer to another prostitute, and so forth. One program was to try it was called the 100% cup condom use program. And the goal was for the prostitutes to use condoms for each and every client. They, in the government, engaged the help, coerced or not, of brothel owners in encouraging or demanding that their prostitutes used condoms with each and every customer. The customers were told ahead of time, this is a place that uses condoms for everybody. Don't try to talk the prostitute out of the condom. The prostitutes were feeling backed up by the owners, were able to stand up for themselves better, and were able to use the condoms to help protect themselves. Prostitutes who are not part of the brothels were not reached as readily. In other words, their condom use was much less. Part of the problem is that they were trying to get clients, and one way is to say, well, we don't make you use condoms. Sometimes that's an advantage, I guess, in the competition. Sometimes they just thought it might be disadvantageous to insist on a condom, and certainly people who have had violence against prostitutes has happened for many, many thousands of years, unfortunately, and they might have felt at risk if they were to suddenly insist on condoms at the last minute. So the program in Thailand did seem to reduce the rate of transmission, but again, not all HIV transmission is only through prostitution. Of course, non-prostitution but non-monogamous sex exists around the world, and people may be serially monogamous. In other words, partners may be together this month and next month, but then after that they break apart and they go on to other partners, no more than one at a time, but nonetheless over a period of time they have exposure to sexually transmitted diseases from many different people. Encouraging everyone to use a condom who's not in a mutually monogamous relationship has been tried through the media programs in France and in Germany and Sweden and South Asia, but in some areas it's not, again, polite to talk about sexual issues, and in some areas there's quite a bit of resistance. Some religious groups, Catholic Church for example, has always ban the use of condoms, whether it's as a birth control measure or obviously for sexually transmitted disease measure. So it's really not possible in some areas to talk about condoms or to get them sold. And the fundamental religious right, who has, say, power in this country or perhaps in some Islamic areas, it may not be permissible to discuss condom use, so nor is it possible always to sell them. Laws have been passed for many years banning the provision of any contraceptive, including condoms, in some states. And in the group of people who most needs to have the education, namely the younger people, before they start having sex, giving out condoms with instructions on how to use them would make a lot of medical sense, but politically it's been very difficult to get this in place in many areas of this country, much less around the world.